Yep, opponent activates it. Do they have it? They do. They flip it over. They gain 5 life. Nice. Today on Commander Replay, we check out this Patreon-submitted Goreclaw deck and find out who survives to turn 14 and who doesn't. Next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, are you looking to get some card alters done? If so, be sure to check out RevelanceLight.com because they do absolutely amazing work, including my most favorite Aurelia altar. RevelanceLight.com, link is in the description below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Goreclaw Terror of Kalsisma today. Take a look at this opening hand. It's got 4 lands, not the quickest thing I've ever seen, but Rishkar's expertise makes me pretty happy. All his dust is good because, you know, you don't get so many board wipes in green, so even though it's not the quickest thing ever, I'm going to go ahead and keep this. So yeah, today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Epsilon Forte, and it looks like a pretty cool little Goreclaw list. There were a number of things in the deck that you might expect to see in a Goreclaw deck, but there were a couple cards that I actually didn't have in my collection. So I think also a few spicier picks as well. We got a Terra Stomper in here, can't be countered, 8/8 trample, kind of fun. Gaia's Revenge, not one that you see all the time these days. Saw this Cream of the Crop, haven't seen Cream of the Crop in a while, so hopefully we get to draw into that because I just like to play it. So yeah, there were like 5 or 6 cards in here that I didn't actually have in my collection that I had to pick up before the game, and yeah, hopefully we run into some of the more interesting picks, because I think they'll be cool to look at, so. But anyway, yeah, we're looking at a mono-green ramp deck. Hopefully we get to the big stuff quickly, and that's going to be our game plan. Ooh, and we're the last in the turn order. Ouch. Just lands for opponent, that's a Mana Vault. Mana Vault is going to speed us up quite a bit. Alright, yeah, play this Mana Vault. Pass like that. Farseek for opponent, getting their ramp going. Goreclaw is interesting because it is ramp out of the command zone, and it can be really powerful. If you're familiar with CEDH, Selvala, and/or Azusa, I think Goreclaw is just a little bit less powerful than Selvala, and I don't know, I'd have to see. It might actually be faster than Azusa these days. Now, granted, the difference between Goreclaw being a creature which is fragile and Azusa dumping in a bunch of lands which are not fragile, there's something to say about that, but I've lost to some really fast Goreclaw decks, things where you're talking about like really consistent turn 4 Terastodons and stuff like that, Void Winnower, really big expensive cards, even like Tooth and Nail sometimes if things really get wild. So yeah, there are some really, really powerful Goreclaw decks that can also be really consistent. I classify a good build of Goreclaw as near CEDH. It is very, very powerful. Anyway, we're going to use the Mana Vault. Cast Goreclaw, it's in, it's turn 2. Pass like that, hope it sticks. If it doesn't, we might be in a world of hurt, things are going to be really slow for us, but if it does, we've got this Yeva lined up, and Yeva is pretty cool. Let's take a look at what our opponents are playing today. First up, we have Arcades the Strategist being piloted by CD White, and I believe we've seen their version of the deck before. Here comes Assault Formation. I've talked about it in some of the other videos where Arcades has shown up. Things like Assault Formation and what's the other one? I think it's out on one of the Ravnica sets somewhere, that also give you the Arcades ability. Allow Arcades to not have to be in play, which is a good thing for that deck. That deck can be a little bit fragile when everything you're doing is based off Arcades being in play, because then you shoot Arcades and then, you know, problems are solved. But with cards like Assault Formation and whatever the other one's called, that gives them a lot more resiliency, and, you know, now just any creatures in play can be really, really threatening. Next up, we've got Kithron piloting Taborax Hope's Demise. This should be exciting. So, new card out of Zendikar Rising, 3 mana 2/2 flying. Taborax has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If that creature was a cleric, you may draw a card. If you do, you lose 1 life. Pretty interesting, a lot of text on there, and it looks like they are doing a Shadowborn Apostles thing, so that's super exciting. So it looks like they're going Shadowborns into Taborax, and we'll see how that is. We'll see if there's any reach in this deck, because we may need some flying blocking to be able to deal with this Taborax. But anyway, that's going to bring it back to our turn. Nothing we can do about the Mana Vault in this moment. We draw another land. We take a damage. We can do some attacking. We're not getting through the wall, but we can swing into Kithron real quick, I guess. We'll get a Goreclaw trigger, and that trigger gives Goreclaw. It gives all creatures you control with power 4 or greater +1/+1 and trample until end of turn, which is pretty good. And I totally missed our land drop. Oh, that's bad. That is bad. Well, that's going to be a problem. Ugh, can't believe I just did that. I had things auto-yielded the wrong way, and I tried to, like, hit all the buttons I needed to hit to make that not happen, and I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So we're going to be further behind, which is bad. Actually, you know what? We can still flash in Yeva. Cost reduction of 2. Forgot all about it. Opponent gets Arcades into play and then plays Portcullis Vine and draws a card off of that. How to shoot yourself in the foot. Miss your land drops. It's even worse because we're staring at a bunch of lands. Eeh. Our final opponent, by the way, is Pauper Arbus piloting Red Akroma, who they've morphed into play. Oh, and that's a Grave Pact. That seems bad. Taborax into us. Yep. When did they sacrifice? So there's no sacrifice built onto it, but when things happen, it will be bad. Sort of raises the question, do we even want to play Yeva? Helm of the Host for opponent. It's a pretty good one. Face down Akroma going to swing at us. It's still a commander, so that's still going to count as commander damage. Actually, what we can do? We can flash in this Yeva, and then we can block. We got him. We got him. That's the type of play that may force a board wipe out of them, like if they have a Blasphemous Act or something like that. Now that their commander's not in play, they might just fire that down at some point. Brings us back to our turn. Mana Vault's going to get us once again. This is unfortunate because I was actually thinking about untapping the Mana Vault to try to get to this Rishkar's expertise quicker. But yeah, we behind. We behind. Play the Forest. Do we want to leave ourselves exposed on the ground? I guess so. I mean, it's a lot of damage to not get, so we'll take a hit into Pauper real quick right here, and this is going to be some damage. Going to hit for 10 after the Goreclaw trigger. Pass like that. Hope there's no follow-up on this Grave Pact. And or hopefully Arcades has something to shoot the Grave Pact, because Grave Pact is a really bad time. Tetsuko coming into play. Yeah, that's a good card for that deck. So the walls are all unblockable now. Someone's going to have to interact with them because, you know, as they just keep playing stuff, that's a lot of damage to have on board. So, yeah, they're going on the attack. Sending Arcades our way, so it'll only be 3 to us. Not too bad, but glad we're not taking the 7. Ooh, Taborax is down to 25. They taking some damage, huh? Oh, yeah. Fleshbag Marauder. We gonna get crushed. So now the plan is slow roll this all as dust. Or try to ramp to this all as dust, rather. Clear out as many things as we possibly can with it. Yeva down. Grave Pact triggers. Taborax triggers. Is that a cleric? It's a warrior. Sacrifice Goreclaw. Back to the command zone. No, the Shadowborn Apostle. Yep. So I think they've placed a target on their back in this moment, which will be good for us, should allow us to try and get back into this game. Many Shadowborn Apostles, 4 total in play for them, and 1 counter on Taborax. No attacks. Hammer Perforos out of Akroma. There it is, Red Akroma. It was flipped over last time we looked at it. And an Azor's Gateway. You know, I thought that card would be better than it is. Exiling the card in your hand is kind of a big deal. It's not the same as looting. It is a little bit painful. You need to really be built to take advantage of this thing. And it probably means like other card draw. Like if you have like 10 cards in hand, it's fine. If you don't have 10 cards in hand, if you're a red deck and, you know, they've got 4, do you really want to use that? It's a problem that I've had with it. That's a World Breaker. World Breaker is cool. Mana Vault can get us 1 time. We'd be untapping it right here if we didn't miss our land. Ouch. Play the land. Nothing to do. All big stuff in hand. Pass the turn. See if anyone wants to rein in the Taborax deck. Eldamri's Call. This should be interesting. Hopefully they've got a Rex Sage. They get Drift of Phantasms. Interesting. They can transmute that into something with 3 CMC, which could be removal. They have 2 blue. They do not currently have 2 blue to transmute that. Temple of Plenty for opponent. Okay. They get to scry. Palace Jailer is very interesting. So they're going to exile Taborax with the Palace Jailer, but in all likelihood, well, opponent could attack with a bunch of Shadowborns, give up 3 of them, and then take the Monarch token, which would give them back their commander. And obviously they'd be the Monarch, but that's a lot of Shadowborns to give up. Now they could just go back to the command zone also. That might make more sense here. Depends on what their lands look like, I guess. Does not go to the command zone, stays in exile, so if opponent doesn't have another creature, if they don't have some sort of like kill spell, then they could cash in a bunch of these Shadowborns to get back Taborax, and doesn't seem awful. Well, it doesn't seem awful for us. It seems rather costly to them, and I'm all about that life, so. Opponent going in with the Arcades? Yep. 5 commander, 20 life. They got down there quick, and draws at the end step with the Monarch. Yep. Everything into Arcades. Let's see if any tricks out of the Arcades opponent. Ha! Opponent flashes in a Dictate of Erebos. Board wipe incoming. So opponent blocks 1. Wow, they didn't block the rest of them. Oh, I guess they were trying to play around the Grave Pact, but yeah, now it's gonna get everyone pretty good. Well, it's gonna get them pretty good because no additional creatures in play, but yeah, we got to deal with these pact effects on the board. They bad for business. So Taborax is back in play. Opponent's gonna activate their Azor's Gateway. Yep. Opponent's gonna play a Braid of Fire. They will be sad when we all is dust. I like this card and I think it's cool, but the reality of it is it's a little bit slow. You need the game to go a ways. Like, ideally you want to play it on turn 2, and even then people do shoot it sometimes. Turn 6 like this, it's a question of how long is this game going to go. If this game only goes 7 or 8 turns, now based on the current board state, probably goes longer than that, but you know, you have to ask yourself, if the game only goes 7 or 8 turns and you cast it on turn 6, is it doing enough? And it's that frustration of the format sped up so much. Cards that would be good over the course of 10 turns can be way less good over the course of like 6, 7, or 8 turns. Cards that take time to get going, they've lost value over the years. So anyway, we're going to pay to untap the Mana Vault right here. We draw a Growing Rites of Itlamok, play a Forest, pass the turn, and set up for our All is Dust next turn. This is also a reasonable chance to try to negate some of the issues we gave ourselves by missing the land drop. Now, Taborax will get to draw some cards unless someone shoots it, which is not ideal. But if opponents like cough out a bunch of stuff right here and we can blow it all up in the board wipe, then that should hopefully balance out a lot of things. Opponent drops a land, going to combat. Gonna swing over to the Akroma player. Wants to pressure their life a little bit. Yeah, passes without doing anything, only plays a land, so just not looking to get crushed by the Grave Pact Dictate right there. We got a big demon coming into play. See 9 mana off of the Nykthos. Shadowborn Apostle decks are interesting. I've only taken one real attempt at it, and when you have like 30 or so of the same creature in your deck, it does not leave a lot of room for other things. It becomes a really delicate balancing act of trying to get your ramp and trying to get your removal and your card draw, and you probably want like some reanimation as well, so a lot of things to balance out when you're doing that. This seems really good. So opponent drops a Villas. They can pay a black, pay 2 life, shoot one of their Shadowborns, and then they'll draw 3 cards off of that. That's pretty good. And this thing will get huge. Looks like they've got about 3 or 4 mana up. Sending the commander our way. Yeah, we've got some commander damage on us. Gonna have to be careful with that. Only 2 from Taborax currently, but this will probably bring us to 4 unless they start shooting stuff. No blocks. Other opponents get pinged with the Shadowborns. Pauper says he doesn't have a lot in the way of removal. That's fair. Dealing with the stuff gonna be on us. Opponent's gonna start shooting the Arcades. Doesn't want to give up on their Shadowborns yet, I guess. Can shoot Arcades again. I don't think they'll have enough to kill it, but let's say have something. Just trying to get the card draw, losing all their life, though. Wayfarer's Bauble. And they draw at the end step. So opponent back up to 5 cards in hand. They were starting to get a little bit low a second ago, and they'll draw a couple if we fire off the All is Dust. Braid of Fire triggering for opponent. Activates the Azor's Gateway with it. They've exiled 1 card. It was a Price of Glory. Now 2 cards. Generator Servant. Oh, it's just so painful on your card advantage, though. It's like Price of Glory would be reasonable against Villas, so they can't just hold up a bunch of mana and do that whenever they want, but opponent's gonna Fiery Confluence. Ooh, nice. So they blow up Taborax. It does blow up all the Seedborns. Dictate triggers a bunch of times. Taborax triggers. Villas is going to trigger a little bit. They do 1 to opponent or something? 2 to each opponent. Okay. So that triggers Villas again. Well, Taborax is out of play, and we no longer need to worry about feeding everyone the card draw based on blowing up all the clerics. So now that that Band-Aid has been pulled off, we can do this pretty freely on our turn, I think. Opponent is down to 11. You want to know what red decks do? They chew through life totals really well, so opponent's got to be careful. Also, there's haste and Helm of the Host, so like many ways to give their creatures haste. Brings back to our turn, Mana Vault. We're finally untapped. There's an Ancient Tomb, that's Mana Ramp. Mana Ramp is helpful. That's 8 mana. If we use Ancient Tomb right here, we can also get Growing Rites of Itlamok into play. That's actually a pretty good idea, I think. Play the Ancient Tomb. Time for the All is Dust. We've been setting up for it. Use all the colorless mana. I really like this inclusion in this deck, by the way. Green decks do need to run more board wipes than they do. Running 0 is not correct, generally. And All is Dust, just a really nice board wipe to have around. And gets enchantments, which is big. Gets creatures, which Green misses a lot, so just does a lot of good things. I've almost always been happy to draw an All Is Dust in the decks that want to run it. I'm not saying you run it every single place, but in places where it makes sense, it is very good. Play the Growing Rights. It'll come in, we get a trigger. 2 creatures. What do we got? We got Baru, Fist of Krosa. Kind of cool. And God Eternal Ronas. I think God Eternal Ronas is the better of those two, so we'll take that one. Rest on the bottom. Do miss a Sky Shroud claim, though. Probably could use a Sky Shroud claim. But anyway, we blow up a lot of things. We get rid of the Assault formation. Arcades down. Obviously, both packed effects. We get rid of Hammer of Perforos, Braid of Fire. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Opponent's going to transmute that Drift of Phantasms finally has the blue mana for it. Gets an Aura Shards. Uh-oh. Here comes Aura Shards. Hopefully they don't have a wall that they can play. They do. What do they want to go for first? Gonna go for the Helm of the Host. That's fine. Helm of the Host can be a little bit scary. Opponent's behind on mana, but you know, fire off a Mana Geyser and they're probably right back into it. Make some big play. Opponent down to 2 cards in hand. That's a good place to be. For us. I think that'll put me on World Breaker, shoot the Aura Shards, though. Vampiric Tutor. This the Living Death or something like that. Opponent down to 9. They getting down there. Oop, that's a Cabal Coffers. Shadowborn Apostle. Shadowborn Apostle. Shadowborn Apostle. Shadowborn Apostle. How many of these? Sacrifice 6 for a demon? They're getting close. Shadowborn Apostle. I think that's 5. Yep, that's 5. Activate Nykthos, get 5 extra mana. Ooh, Liliana's Contract, you say. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and lose 4 life. Ooh, they're going really low. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. Opponent's down to 5. I wonder if they did some thrilling encore nonsense with that. I wonder if they could win on their upkeep. We'll want to be careful of that. Aura Shards would probably shoot the Liliana's Contract. But Aura Shards could also shoot our Growing Rights if we don't flip it over. Burnished Heart for opponent. There's the ramp. Brings it back to our turn. Getting damaged by the Vault. Terramorphic Expanse. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. They probably recast their commander. They may have a wall. 1 wall draws them into another wall. We have 7 total mana. We can get to 8 with an untapped land. Maybe we just play the Carnage Tyrant. If we play the untapped land, we can do it without tapping Ancient Tomb. And I kind of like that. Let's do that. I don't know. It might, I want this. I don't want to lose this, but I think this is a higher priority. They may even force shoot that. They may try to shoot that. It just depends on how many creatures they have and what their plans are. I mean, they may even shoot this. Growing Rights definitely exposed, though. Because, if we just shoot that, then this survives, and I don't really want that to happen. If we just shoot this, then that survives. I don't really want that to happen either. So, yeah, we're going to expose our Growing Rights for a turn and just try to let things work themselves out and hope for the best. We're going to hope for the best. That's what we're doing. Here comes Arcades. And that's kind of what I was hoping on. If they recast Arcades, it's a lot of mana. And they've only got 2 left, so they would need a 2-drop. Haven't seen if they've made their land drop yet. But Aura Shards trigger. Goes for the Contract. So if they had something wild, we're probably not going to find out right here. But I mean, they'll probably have enough Shadowborns to get a really big demon. They've got 7 cards in hand. Depends on what's in their hand. But there is some chance that they could get 2 big demons off of sacrificing Shadowborns next turn. We'll see. We'll see. Actually, what's interesting is opponent probably doesn't want to cast their commander because whenever the clerics die, they'll lose a life. And being at 5, they need to gain some life. So that sort of eliminates their commander as long as their Shadowborn's in play. But 8 cards in hand, got a bunch of mana production, so we'll see what they've got. Cracks the Wayfarer's Bauble, sure. Cauldron of Eternity. Yeah. Cost 2 less for each creature in your graveyard. Whenever a creature dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. Pay 2 life to return a creature. Oh, that... This seems interesting. So all these will go back into their deck if they sacrifice them. Gonna return Villas. Down to 3 life. I'd recommend against activating Villas right here. 10 mana off the Nykthos. That's something. Endorsement of Agonies. Flying Death Touch. Enters the battlefield. +1/+1 counter on it for each different mana cost in your graveyard. That number is 6. Razaketh. That is a pay 2 life, though. Opponent's down to 1 mana. 3 life. Tough to get through that board state. That's not an easy board state to get through. Actually, getting that last 3 damage on them might be tough, but, they could sack and go down to 1. See if the red deck brought any direct damage. Opponent draws at the end step. Yep. Opponent's going to crack their Burnish Heart at the end step. Yep. That's an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. You know what, though? That and that are both out of range of the Ugin. The Bolt Mode. The Bolt Mode is direct damage. There it is. They're going to bolt them in the face. Nice. Nice. Ugin, player killer. Mana Vault. Yeah, just going to ping us. We have things to do this turn. We have things to do. There's a Ghost Quarter. You know, I want a Rishkar's Expertise. That's the play that I want to make. I think that's the play we should make. Oh, man. So, like, if we went Rishkar's Expertise and, like, hit something else cool, well, we could go Rishkar's Expertise and then get God Eternal Ronas for free. That turns that into 14 power, and that's pretty cool. That would be most of Pauper's life, but we'd still have to deal with Arcades afterwards. Won't leave us that much left to do after that, but the other thing to do is just World Breaker the Aura Shards and then attack the Ugin. I think I like that the best, actually. I'm not expecting the board wipe. I think we would have already seen it if it were coming. So, yeah, let's do that. Let's go to combat. We'll try to set up for Rishkar's Expertise next turn. Attack Ugin. This is not even going to kill it, although Arcades will have the ability to do so. And with this Ugin surviving, that'll also... Ugin eats up a lot of focus, so, like, opponents can have to divert resources to dealing with Ugin, which, you know, can kind of keep us under the radar just a little bit. I get that we have a big beater out there, and... you know, if we play something else, that'll definitely, like, enter into people's mind, but Ugin's still a thing you got to deal with, so. Let's see. World Breaker is 7. I think I'm going to go for the Ghost Quarter since it comes in untapped, and we'll World Breaker without using the Ancient Tomb. Trying to keep that life total high. There is a red deck at the table. And we'll shoot the Aura Shards right here, and this is Exile. So Aura Shards down. Good news for our growing rights. Also, opponents' Azor's Gateway, if that's a thing that they're looking to do, but... I doubt we have the mana, but it'd be really cool to go Ronas first, then Rishkar's. But that's 11 mana. We seem very far away from that. We're on 9 currently, so it'd have to be like Mana Crypt off the top. Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Oh yeah, this is bad. This is bad. I think we're going to be waiting longer on that Rishkar's. Yep, destroy all the big creatures. Down our stuff goes. Was not expecting that. Based on all the demons and stuff being in play, I felt pretty good that opponents were low on removal, so... Yep. Opponent gets a wall, and they get to draw with Arcades. Drops a land. Gains a life. I'm all about that life gain right now. All about it. So, 1 into the Ugin and 1 into Pauper. Love to see a board wipe. If he fires off a red board wipe right here, or just, like, even casts Akroma and, like, swings back at them, that'd be cool, too. Ugin goes down. Activates the Gateway. Another one under there. 3 cards under there. Was it 5 different ones? Bloodsworn Steward. Flying and gives their commander haste. Yep. It's decent. Also gives it 2/2. And there's a Fire Shrieker. Oh, ha. That's interesting. That's interesting. We're at 22. Opponent could potentially cast their commander. That'd be 8. They have 8 mana currently. So if they cast their commander, it would have haste, and it would have 8 power, and that would hurt. It would take them 2 turns based on what they have right now to equip Double Strike, but, you know, surprises can happen. If we untap this Mana Vault, take us 4 to untap the vault. How much mana does that leave us? That would leave us 5 mana. We would need an untapped land to cast Goreclaw and untap the vault. Yeah, I'm going to do that, actually. Okay. Ooh, there's the untapped. All right. If that didn't pan out, I was going to go for the Ronas instead, just because we need to get something going on board. So, play this Forest. Play Goreclaw. Pass like that. And then next turn, we can go God Eternal Ronas, Rishkar's Expertise. Put a hurting on someone and hopefully draw a lot of cards. And then we'll need to find a way to protect ourselves after that, which may be tricky, but see how that goes. I think we're not the threat based on what opponents can see from us right now, which is good. Showing haste and double strike is threatening. Elspeth plus walls is very good. So hopefully those two kind of battle it out with each other for a moment. Soul Ring coming in. Arcades our way. Wall of Roots over to Akroma. I'm fine with that. Yeah, that should only be 3. Down to 17, 8 commander. Arcades slowly ticking up on us. We would need to gain life, though, for the commander damage to really matter. Oh, hey, opponent plays their commander face down. I didn't think about that. So it's back in as a 4/4. It has haste. Now they can put the Fire Shrieker on it, if they want to. Here comes Grenzo. Even more interesting. Goad would be bad. I do not want to get goaded. Flying 1 our way. Yep. Yep, all right. We're probably about to get goaded, or they can exile the top. I'd say the goad. Goad is probably the one they want in this situation. I know people love card advantage, but the goad on Grenzo is really disruptive. Down to 13. Let's see what they go with. We're going to need to make some big plays this turn. Yep, going for the goad. All right. Is this trample? Gains vigilance until end of turn. Vigilance is reasonable, but surprising that it's not trample. Big draws, big draws. What do we need to do to get this back? We need colorless mana. We have that. And pay 3. It's a lot of mana. It's a lot of mana. Greater Good is a game-breaking card. I need to check our deck list real quick. What can we get that like either wins us the game or saves us from what's going on? Because we're going to need flying blocking or like some type of life gain. That has haste, and that's cool. Elder Scale Worm. Yeah, Elder Scale Worm is how we can stay alive. Okay. Okay. We may run into other things along the way. There's a fog in this deck also. Seems incredibly relevant. So I've been thinking about it. Greater Good is going to be more mana efficient than Rishkar's Expertise, and they'll both do about the same thing. So here we go. God Eternal Ronas. Is this other creatures? Other creatures. Sadness. So we'd have to sacrifice Goreclaw. Okay, that puts me back on Rishkar's Expertise, because I don't want to sacrifice Goreclaw. Not yet, anyway. So play Rishkar's Expertise. Draw 8, hit mostly lands. Can put a card into play for free. What does this do? When you cast it, return target creature from the graveyard to the battlefield. That's pretty good. Putting Greater Good. Definitely thought we'd hit less lands than that. Also, is there a Reliquary Tower in this deck? There is not a Reliquary Tower in this deck. I might put one because of the way that green draws. I think it's probably worth it. How much is this thing? 7. We have 4. We'd have 5 after we play a land. So I guess we start Greater Gooding things. Sacrifice God Eternal Ronas. Use the ability. Looking for, like, at the very least, Fog. That gains life. Could be relevant. Emerald Medallion is a card. We need to discard some cards. Definitely going to be some basics. Gaining 3 life, huh? We could play... Oh, it's going to be so hard to do this. We could play God Eternal Ronas one more time. And then basically just pray for Fog. Any fight effects in here? There's a Nature's Claim. That would get rid of the double strike, but our life total's getting so low that, like... I think that's what we're doing. Let's see if we went... Can we get Emerald Medallion first? Yes. Here we go. We're going to try it. Play a land. Play Emerald Medallion. Play God Eternal Ronas again. That's an interesting little combo. Greater Good. Ronas. Go to combat. Attack opponent. This will be 17 with trample. That's not nothing. Ooh, is Nature's Lore mana neutral now? It is. That land comes in and untapped, so we can still play Nature's Lore. But most of this won't matter if we don't draw a Fog. I wonder if we could have played this thing like a third time. Well, we're going to eat a wall. That's good. Less that they can attack us with. It's going to be 14 commander. Boom. Opponent down to 17. Join in the rest of us at low life totals. Play the Nature's Lore for a single green. Get a forest. We have to sacrifice Goreclaw here. Try to draw the cards. Sacrifice it. Here's a question. Do we put it in the command? Yeah, just put it in. It'll be 8 to recast. If we leave it in the graveyard, it's only one more for Artisan. Yeah, just put it in the graveyard. We found the Fog. Perfect. Do need to discard some cards. It's going to be some lands. Also found the Worm. Make sure there's nothing else we can do that's like mana neutral and allow us to hold up the Fog. Played all of our lands. I think that's it. Yeah, pass like that. Yeah. 21 cards in hand. It's going to take a minute. Get rid of all the lands, especially the tap lands. I think we're a little too low for this Foothills. That's going to take too long. This we want in the graveyard. I think we're still on 11 cards, so get rid of the Elf. Guess Rampant Growth isn't the most exciting. Ronas is cool. Maybe we'll try to find a way to get it back somehow. Got to get rid of stuff. I guess we discard the land. We'll just try to find our way into another land somewhere. So this is our hand. Artisan, Bow, Wolfear, Fog, Cursor of Krufix, Swift of Boots, and Elder Scale Worm. Opponent's going to make some 1/1s with Elspeth. Yep. That's pretty good. 2 loyalty. Opponent taking their time to think about where they want to attack. Looks like they're going to send both of their creatures into the Akroma, but this is definitely a triangle of death situation. Oh, they're rethinking it. Almost committed. Almost had them to commit. And then decides to go with it. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, when you have a 3-player game like this, you get into the triangle of death, and, whoever you attack, you're exposed to the other player. Opponent's going to block with their Grenzo. Doesn't want to take the damage. Grenzo's so good, though. It would cut them in half, but I think they could take it. And, then they could goad us, and goading us is pretty good. Goading us, cut opponent's life total in half and put a whole lot of commander damage on them last turn, because I may have just gone after Akroma because I think that's harder for us to stop. Big flying double strike is not amazing. There's no damage can be prevented on there, is there? Kind of forget all of Red Akroma's abilities. A lot of them are sort of weird. They're not like things that come up all that often, like pro-white, pro-blue, can't be countered. I do hate that they just kind of like shoehorned Morph onto that card. The big thing that card is missing is haste. If Red Akroma had haste naturally, be a much better card. Paradoxical outcome. For 1. Gonna bounce their land, draw a card, and then replay it. I guess that says draw 2 and get an untapped creature. Doesn't seem awful. They could have chosen to reset their Elspeth. That would actually kill all of our creatures. That actually would have been really good, I think. Any number of non-land, yeah. Yeah, they could have reset their Elspeth with that, which would have been good. Catching a break right there for us. Wall of Roots back to play. Opponent will draw a card. Vine Trellis. Draws a card. Wall of Denial. Ooh, those are big. That's, very good defensive creature. Also, with Arcades in play, a very good offensive creature because it does a lot of damage. Opponent activates their Azor. Up to 4. They could get there on their turn with this. They need something 4 CMC or greater to be able to use it. Then they also need a card, and they are low on cards, so they'll have 3 cards when they untap. Yep, opponent activates it. Do they have it? They do. They flip it over. They gain 5 life. Nice. And they can make, how much red mana is it? Equal to your life total, so 17 red mana. Hope it's not a burn spell. Equips the Fire Shrieker. Sure. It's flipped. Oh, they flipped over Akroma. Okay, so that's the first thing they did. Then they equipped the Fire Shrieker. Got an 8/8 with double strike and fire breathing. Also, it's got trample. That's a Feast and Famine. Those are pretty good. Equips the Feast and Famine. Ooh, the Death Touch on Bow of Nylea could be very helpful for us next turn. Oh no, Wheel of Fortune. Well, we got a fog. Time to fog. Also going to make it tough to get our commander back now that's in the graveyard. Not ideal. Not ideal. Opponent said he was going to swing at Arcades. Well, yep, now he's not swinging anywhere because fog. Unfortunately, like our safety net of Elder Scale Worm is going down. What do we draw? We draw a Nature's Claim, Ronas Monument, Hydra Omnivore is ooh, Surrak gives things haste. Land and a Mind Stone. Interesting. Might need that Nature's Claim. Our last hand was better, generally. Had a lot of things I liked in it. Darksteel Plate. Yep, there that is. It's a 10/10. Solemn Simulacrum. It's a blocker. It is now really difficult to protect ourselves against both players. See what we got for Eldrazi in the deck. We need the big stuff. There's an Ugin in the deck. Ugin does not kill Akroma. There's an Ulamog. Probably it has to be like exactly Ulamog. There's a Galta in the deck. Galta could do things. Ew. Yeah, that Wheel of Fortune. That Wheel of Fortune. Mana Vault's gonna get us. There's the Galta. What does Galta mean? There's so much toughness over there. Surrak, Galta. Oh man, I kind of want this Omnivore too, though. Guess we start with the land. That gives us 13 mana. Do have cost reduction, though. Get the Ronas Monument. Maybe try to leave up Ghost Quarter for this land. That's kind of ridiculous. More cost reduction. What's the cast on Galta currently? 5. We can do better than that. Cast this Surrak for a green. God Eternal Ronas becomes a 7/7. Cast Galta for the minimum. God Eternal Ronas going to get a little bigger. Here's a choice. Do we sacrifice God Eternal Ronas, draw 9 cards, then try to recast it and double up Galta's power? That would give it 24 power, and how much toughness does opponent actually have over here? That's 12, 17, 25. They have 25 power, or 25 toughness, rather. But they would have to block with everything. Yeah, I think we do, because we still need an answer to Akroma. Okay, so sacrifice God Eternal Ronas. Use the ability. Do we draw things that matter? We can give, we can clean opponent's board out. But we can only clean one board. Oh, that's an Ugin. Can we get to Ugin? We have 6 mana? Might be tough. There's all the mana ramp we didn't find early in the game. There's a Perilous Vault. Not enough mana to activate it, though. Things we aren't going to need. Colony Heart Expedition, no. Mind Stone, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to need Relic, either. What other mana rocks are in this deck? We've already used Mana Vault. There's a Soul Ring we haven't found. Nothing crazy, though. We'd be looking for, like, Mana Crypt. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. How much is Ronas going to be? 3 green. We have 6 mana, so we have exactly enough to go Ronas, Roar of the Challenge, wipe opponent's board. And then hope Akroma doesn't kill us. I think that's the plan. Ronas Monument on Galta. Let's make it a little bigger. Ooh, it's going to have Vigilance. Vigilance is quite relevant. Play Roar of the Challenge on Galta. Pass like that, leave up Nature's Claim, I guess. Surrak on Galta. Send Galta into Arcades. See what happens here. They have to block with everything. Akroma being a flyer is a real problem for us. Opponent said he had actually considered Fog that we were holding it up and thought about not wheeling. Yeah, but they didn't want to waste their mana. I get it. We're going to trample over for 3 and kill all of their creatures. That was pretty cool. Roar of the Challenge. Pretty sweet in a deck like this. Opponent's down to 13. No creatures in play, but we're wide open in the air. Discard, I guess, Baru. We got ground blockers, but, you know, big old Akroma in the air. Still an issue. Opponent's going to make 3 1/1s. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and they can gain a bunch of life. Well, I guess I don't have that many creatures in play yet, but one big toughness creature, and they will gain a lot of life. Oh no! Wave of Reckoning. Each creature deals damage equal to its power to itself. Anything we can do about that? That one's indestructible. That's a problem for us. That's also indestructible, so shooting it doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess that just happens. Oh, wait. Oh, we could have drawn a bunch of cards. Oh, God. I forgot to draw more cards. It's okay. Eternal Ronas goes back on top of our deck. We can find a way into that. Also assumes that we need to survive the Akroma, which may be hit and miss. We're also down to 35 cards in library. We need to be a little bit careful about that. Wall of Shards. Yeah, opponent can gain some life back. So by opponent doing stuff right here, this may not get us attacked by the Akroma. And that would be ideal. Opponent's going to gain some life, so they're going to gain 8 life off that ability. Back up to 21, and yeah, that makes them a much more enticing target for the Akroma. Because, like, we kind of die to a gentle breeze, and when you have this much damage stacked up, like, you want to really get the most out of that damage, and opponent just having more toughness and more life that they need to attack through. Feeling good. I'm feeling good about this. Still a coin flip, but I'm feeling good about the coin flip. Still going to be tough for us after that, though. Probably going to be some semblance of, like, holding up this Perilous Vault. Skyfire Phoenix. Enough haste creatures would kill us. That's the thing that could happen. Opponent's got all the mana. Goblin Engineer. I don't know that I've ever actually seen Sanctum of the Sun get flipped. Gets a Shadow Spear. Yeah, the life gain. Gives haste to the Goblin Engineer. Yeah, so now they can sack something and get the Shadow Spear into play. They only have 3 artifacts, all of which are good. I don't know that they're looking to give any of those up. See if they have another one in hand. Only 3 cards in hand. Oh my god, they can fire breathe that Akroma so much. Oh, they have so much mana. Yeah, if we survive, we need to shoot the Sanctum. Wanted to do that last turn, but just the mana wasn't there. Oh god, that's a Vandal Blast. What does that get? That gets our Emerald Medallion and our Ronas Monument. Both of those are really good. Gets a Soul Ring over here. Our artifacts go down. Makes me not worry about this as much anymore. Maybe we just sit on that. So I'm thinking like the ramp spells and Perilous Vault if we get to untap. Pump the Chrome a few more times. 13 power. Do they want the lifelink? That's the question. Being that there's only 2 mana up between the two of us, I probably sacrifice the Darksteel Plate right here and go for the Shadow Spear, I think. But I do also like to play it safe. Life gain is really cool, but protection needed. Needed for a deck like this when your commander costs that much. Like, just has to happen. Opponent coming at us for 4. Yep, we're going to feel that. But the big one going over to the Arcades opponent. And I don't know that they can survive that. That's a lot of commander damage with double strike and trample, plus 10 more mana of fire breathing. Feast and Famine trigger, can't forget about that. Untaps the lands. What they probably want, they want like a Makokoro or a Gaia Reach Sanitarium over there. Don't know if they're running them, but really good in decks like Mono Red and Mono White. Also Boros. Anywhere you run a Feast and Famine, really. Opponent goes down to commander damage. Second Feast and Famine trigger. Okay, that problem has been solved. Hope they don't have a burn spell. We are at 4. But in this exact second, it looks like we're going to get to untap. All right. Made it. We made it. Don't know if we can win. Heroic intervention, you say. But we've given ourselves a chance. Play this forest. We need to leave 9 mana for the Perilous Vault, and we probably don't want to use the Ancient Tomb. So let's get Perilous Vault. We're also going to want a Ghost Quarter or something over there, either the Haste Land or the Sanctum. One of them's going to have to go down. Play the Perilous Vault. Oh, I think we have to use the Ancient Tomb. Just go ahead and Ghost Quarter this big thing. Thing's kind of ridiculous. Don't need opponent making 17 mana. They can have a basic. Yeah, it looks like we're using the Ancient Tomb. Was hoping to not have to do that. Down to 2 we go. I suppose we could have just played it. No, Ugin does not hit Akroma. That's a big deal. We get a bunch of forests. 1 into play tapped. 2 into the hand. And pass like that. Just gotta keep clinging to life. That's our game plan here. Eventually they will run out of stuff, and their commander is very expensive to recast, though they can play it face down and do that whole thing. But, yep, opponent going to combat. Sending everything. Activate the Perilous Vault. Exile all non-land permanents. They are exiled. I don't use Perilous Vault that much, but that was really handy because they were very indestructible in this moment. So, recast their Akroma face down. Yeah, that's a problem for us. That is a problem for us. They don't have the mana to flip it up, so we can just bolt it with Ugin. I think that's the plan we're on. Mono green control, baby. Here we go. Got ourselves a nice little 1 versus 1 going now. Cream of the crop. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top X cards of your library. X is that creature's power. If you do, put 1 on top of your library, rest on the bottom. Very cool. Very cool. Play a forest. Play Ugin. We cannot tap Ancient Tomb. Bolt Akroma. We kind of need a blocker. Oh, that's 5 mana. We're 1 short. That 1 mana. That 1 mana, we can't play this blocker. Oh, God, I F6'd. I meant to cultivate and cream of the crop. Yeah, it's all a problem. It's all a problem. There's plenty of ways that they can make mistakes, but we are at 2, and they are a red deck, and they play a lot of red. 2/2 back to play. Mana for the Hainware Battlements. Yep, there it is. Yeah, we didn't have enough for the blocker. Oh, you know what we could have did? We could have shot our own artifact at some point and gained 4 life, and that may have actually been really relevant. Do we have an artifact now that we can shoot? We do not. We do not. Yep, here they come. Here they come. Down we go. What were our next few cards? Anything that was going to help? Sky Shroud Claim, not really. Garrick's Horde, reasonable. Reasonable. Natural Order. Yeah, it was going to be a grind because they had a lot of mana, so they could just keep recasting it and trying to flip it over. But I guess we had an Ugin that was pretty close to ulting. But yeah, that one land came back to bite us. Ouch. Good game out of our opponents, though. They played really well, and each deck kind of got to do its thing, at least for a part of the game, and mashed them all together, and that's what happened. So there's a few things I would change with this deck. Ideally, I'd probably get just a little bit more happening early in the curve. I'm not sure that I'm sold on Conley Heart Expedition. I think I would just take another Signet style thing just to get to Goreclaw faster and consistently. So I might take that out, and this is kind of, it's kind of just a small change, but actually the big one, so I think you want Thought Vessel and Reliquary Tower for this deck because of what Greater Good and Rishkar's expertise can do. So I would go for a Thought Vessel if you've got the money. I know they're not the cheapest. I would add a Reliquary Tower for no max hand size. All in all, I thought most of the stuff in here was pretty cool. Obviously the big one we saw is that we were very soft to flying. Ooh, that has reach. We could have brought that back at some point, but that's also a lot of mana. I think for this deck, I would add a Zendikar Resurgent. It's just too good. Like, if we could have doubled up our mana at some point, that would have allowed us to, like, really kind of get ahead in the game. The problem is we were stuck on mana all game because we did not do a very good job of keeping Goreclaw in play. And some of that was our own choice, but yeah, we just couldn't keep Goreclaw in, and that was kind of an issue. I'm not sold on Nissa's Renewal because it sits at a part of the mana curve where you want to be casting creatures. I would probably just add another, like, 4 mana, put Forest into play type of card. So one of the things I'm noticing, too, is that a lot of the creatures in here, other than, like, Ulamog and Galta, a little bit, like, less... Vorinclex also. Like, those are kind of your standard picks for a big green stompy deck. A lot of the choices here at the 5 and 6 mana costs, things that are a little bit less common, and I'm totally okay with that. Like, I could say add Avenger of Zendikar and just every other boring green creature that everyone's seen way too many times, but no one wants that. No one wants that. So... as far as things that are a bit more interesting, we were a bit soft to flying. I think Uvenwald Hydra could be really interesting. Main thing I'm thinking about right now is Reach. Although I think these got expensive. I don't think they're as cheap as they used to be. But I'm thinking about creatures that have Reach. If that being the case, I think Multani is still fairly cheap. Multani is Reach and Trample. Comes back easily, which is nice. So I might add something like that. Stop the big flying decks, because I love my flying decks, and I have flown over many a green deck in my life. So I do like the presence of the board wipes in this deck. That's not a thing that like every mono green deck runs. Many green decks just try to be like, I'm going to play all the creatures, and that'll work a lot of the times, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I do like having answers to things. You know, I'm looking at this Land War Elves, and I'm just not sure that it's worth it, honestly. Same thing with the Elvish Mystic. Like, you're playing big creatures, so if people have board wipes, they're already going to use them. I would probably change these into 2 more just Signet style things, Rampant Growths, or whatever the next best like Rampant Growth is for this deck. Even if they're artifact based, just because like, getting the 3 in this deck I don't think matters that much. Actually, yeah, what you can do, get rid of Elvish Mystic, you go Wild Growth. I was talking about this with someone the other day. People don't run these enough. Add a Wild Growth, get rid of, I would say, get rid of Land War Elves. There is not a second Wild Growth. You have options, like there's a million ways to ramp in green, but I would cut the creature. You could probably go for like an Overgrowth, honestly. But of course, there's also the 4 mana stuff. It depends on whether you care about the 4 mana ramp or not, but Overgrowth, Weirding Wood, that type of stuff I think is kind of interesting. It is a little bit quicker than some of the really slow land stuff, and can be a bit more explosive without the risk of playing a bunch of mana dorks. Now, you could also play some of the bigger mana dorks, which could also be interesting. Somberwald Sage and what's the elf one? One of the problems I noticed is that we weren't able to cast things very effectively while Goreclaw wasn't in play. So maybe having a few more ways to do that is going to be pretty good, and that's where Zendikar Resurgent is going to come in. I don't think Shamanic Revelation is the best for this deck, although it does gain life. One of the things I was about to talk about was life gain. Having some way to gain some life back in this deck I think could be really good. You know, I think on average, well, it depends. If we had a better go-around with Goreclaw, we probably have more creatures in play, but I think on average it's going to be a little bit less card draw than like the power-based card draw, but with the upside of it can give you life. And that can matter. Legendary Landwalk. That's kind of cool. There's one you don't see. Ayumi the Last Visitor. Nice. Oh, another card that you could look at something like Gravity Well if you wanted to. This removes flying whenever a creature attacks, so this would solve your flying problem, and I think that would be a pretty good idea. Oh, I think you have no, never mind. So yeah, Gravity Well could definitely help against the flyers. One creature that I wanted to get in there, what's the dinosaur? I think Verdant Sun's Avatar, I would put one in because I like life gain a lot. Like, when things just don't go your way in the early and mid game, something that gains you a lot of life back can be really, really good. And, you know, ideally you're trying to, like, cast a ton of creatures in this deck, so I'd probably add this because I like the life gain aspect of it a lot. We need to cut something if we're doing that. Not sold on the Sandstep Mastodon. I guess it has reach, but Bolster 5, I guess that's okay. I don't know. Not sold on that guy, so I would take him out. Guess there's not room for that Overgrowth. I forget what we did in its place, but the other thing I want to do too is I want to add just a little bit more in the way of utility lands. I think some of the fog lands I think would be really good for this deck. That's going to be like Mystifying Maze. I like it because it still makes mana. I'm not sold that I would go on Maze of Ith. You could think about a Thaumatic Compass. What's the other one? What's the new one I can never remember the name of? Labyrinth of Scophos, that's the one. I might add that to the deck just, again, to have more protection against things trying to attack you. And I'd probably add a Makokoro, honestly, along with Mosswort Bridge. So yeah, there's just a few little changes that I would make to the deck. I think, you know, like better reach. Green decks, if you don't go out of your way to think about it, can be soft to flyers, and I've definitely been on the other side of that. I'm usually the red player with all the flyers trying to do that whole thing, so, you know, you definitely want to have some plan for that. I guess we could have got this back at some point, but we never did. That wheel messed us up pretty good, honestly, in addition to the fact that we missed our land drop, which also hurt pretty good. But there's a couple quick little changes I would make to this deck. I think beefing up your mana base, getting a few more utility lands in there, I think going to be a really good idea to help out with different things. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, in addition to my TCG affiliate player link, I now have an affiliate link with Flipside Gaming, an LGS from my hometown. You can use the promo code REPLAY to save 10% on your next order over $10. Both affiliate links are in the description below. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Also, the 2020 GoFundMe is still active. Link for that is also in the description below.